Good morning, good day, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to Astro's Playroom. So, this game is always, well, at least the music, for Sunday morning, in my case, just really fun. I don't know, it's fairly simple, but it's just nice, happy. I really like it. But yeah, let's actually return to this game. I want to play through one more of the level parts, structures. You know what I mean, right? So last time we did the PlayStation 3 era, and what I really like about this game is that it just reminds you of everything that you will experience, right? All of the games and with who you played them, and the hardware as well. Something like PlayStation Move, right? Looking back at when it was announced and how it was announced, and then buying that stuff as well. There's just a lot of memories attached to these things. And this game, because it has all of that stuff in it, right? Because it has all of these, like, it shows you the hardware that's been released over the years, and it also has references to games and stuff. So, you're just reminded of a lot more stuff compared to when you would think about it on your own, right? I just really like it. It's a ton of nostalgia, right? So, I don't know. It's very cool that they did this. Again, it's a not very, but it's a fairly simple game, definitely. Right, I have to launch first. It looks very good, and, well, in terms of gameplay, it's fairly simple. It's not, in any way different to other games, or it's not even a fairly complicated platformer. It's actually pretty easy. But it's just a fun thing to do every now and then, right? It's definitely not necessarily something that you'd play all day, although I'd imagine that it is fairly interesting at getting high scores on the levels, so playing through them really quickly, right? There's like speedrun stuff that you can do, and you can time yourself going through the levels. Maybe that's really exciting. Other than that, in terms of gameplay, it's not, that interesting. It's fairly basic, but again, it has that nostalgia factor. If you've, been around PlayStation stuff your whole life, then there's just a ton of stuff you can discover, a ton of stuff you can look back on and think about, and just reminisce about. It's a very cool thing. But let me actually check. So last time we went through the PlayStation 3 era, which is this part over here. Now, I actually wanted to do PlayStation 1 this time around. The problem is, I am not quite so sure whether or not you can actually see what's what. Because it's not really sorted in any kind of way, I guess. Unless there would be... Wait, so this is green, purple, and orange. Maybe that's like a hint towards something? So we can... Wait a second. I think it was this way? Yeah. So this is where all of your artifacts and puzzle pieces go, so that you can see what's going on. I don't know if the colors correspond to it, though. I don't think they do, actually. Because for some reason the PlayStation 3 has like a green color on the floor, right? Even though it's blue in the menu. Yeah, I'm actually not sure. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Technically, we can just go into any level and then we'll see what it's about. I just kind of wish I knew beforehand, because I would very much like to start with the PSX era this time around. Like the first things on PlayStation. I mean, I guess it might be the purple one. Although, well, technically, shouldn't it be this one? Because it should be opposite of PS3, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4? Or 1... Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. But it wouldn't... Yeah, so technically it should be the orange one. Let's just try. If it's not, then... Well... Either it doesn't really matter. I'd have to change my stream title though. A bit annoying. Alright, maybe we'll get a hint if we look at it? I don't think we do though. I mean, the names of the places don't correspond to the console era they're referencing anyway, right? I mean, GPU Jungle, I guess, fits with the PlayStation 3 now that I think about it. What's this called? Cooling Springs. No, wait a second. This is what we did last time. Cooling Springs, yeah, so it's just whatever. Let's try the orange one, and maybe we'll get lucky, and it's the one that I wanted to do. SSD Speedway Turbo Trial. Looks pretty cool. Wait. Why are there platforms this way? Oh, because there's a puzzle piece here. Well, that was easy. I guess we'll find out as soon as we find the first artifact, huh? Whether or not that's the correct one. What is this? Oh, I guess that's... Oh, I just noticed! So all of the Astrobots flying by, they're driving on some sort of vehicle? I guess that's supposed to represent data that they're transporting from one part of the SSD to the next. And he's telling them where to go. Again, I think I said that last time I played this game, but like small details like this that they put in, it's just very cute. You can definitely see that whoever designed this, whoever made this and put in all those details, really cared about what they were doing. Alright. I guess we're launching ourselves? Ooh, that's fun. Well, you can adjust a little bit. Where do we want to go, though? I guess just forward? Oh, no, never mind. You can actually... I still love the feedback that you get on the controller. It really feels like you're turning some sort of knob like this, right? Let's see if we... Oh, wait. This way. Oh, nice one. I mean, we probably want to go over here? That's really fun. Although we're going the opposite way, it seems dangerous. What are they doing? What is that in reference to? With apples? What? No idea what game that's supposed to be, to be honest. Can we go up there? I guess we'd have to fly to it? Although there isn't really... There's a traffic light up there, though. It's kind of fun. And I guess we're flying to the next platform. Ooh, did they hit that? And it should pretty much launches into the direction that you're looking. Ooh. It's not that easy to control though, with motion controls it feels like. Yeah, it's definitely not. Like for some reason, maybe I was just turning it the wrong way? Felt like I should have gone somewhere else, to be completely honest. Ah, whatever. You're only losing the coins when you die, so shouldn't really matter all that much. I guess I should just aim a bit higher? Because you launch a bit. It's way easier to control with the right stick. I don't know what they're on about with the... I don't know. It feels like it's a weird combination between both the 6-axis movement, like the motion control thing the controller has, and you being also able to control it with the right stick. Seems a bit like a weird combination. Alright, let's do this again. I guess I did aim a bit too high this time around, so... try it this way. Yeah, that... It's just very counterintuitive. For some reason. I don't know. Like... I guess you're supposed to keep your speed somehow? Or maybe that's why you're... What? Seriously? I think I'm just... The problem is that you start off holding the controller like really, really weird, and then you don't want to turn it, because it's, I don't know. Maybe I'm just bad. But the problem is, right, you turn the controller this way in order to aim into the correct direction. Meaning, though, that I'm holding it at a very weird angle. And then you're sort of trying to adjust for the angle, and suddenly it's... And now it works. Now it's just weird. Because I pretty much... It felt like I did the exact same thing like last time, but for some reason it just... Oh, I can do something with it? Oh, I need to hold. Alright. Nice. A5081. That's most definitely a reference to something else as well, right? I mean, this is an FF7 reference. Like, that's... And everybody's enjoying it and looking around, and... That's very clear. I don't know what 5081 means, though. I also find it funny how these enemies, they have spikes on their heads, but as soon as they're trying to run towards you, they pull them in. Shouldn't it be the other way around? When they put the spikes out as soon as they see you? Ooh, you're a new enemy. Hope I'm not missing anything. I don't think I am, but... I also feel like we should have found another artifact by this point. Ooh, God. It's supposed to be a computer virus? Seems rather dangerous. Yeah, once again, I don't know, the problem is also that the camera turns so weirdly. Like, it doesn't really show you where you're going. And that's also... you're holding square, but then for some reason... he hits once and then charges his hit, instead of starting with the charged hit right away. Also, you can't, for some reason, you can't use the right stick to actually aim. You have to use the controller to aim up and down. You can use the controller to aim right and left, but you can also use the right stick to aim right and left. But again, up and down, not an option for some reason. That's weird. And now it was way too high. I didn't want to be that high. What the hell? Very, very strange, strange way how that controls. Sorry, buddy. Oh, Pain. Right, that's the, that was also a PSN game at some point, right? Wasn't that weird game where you could launch somebody and to pretty much, the objective of the game was to inflict as much pain as possible, which, well, obviously that's why it was called Pain. I just always thought, I mean, it was kind of a crazy game and funny in a way because the ragdoll physics, it just looked funny, right? That person flying through all kinds of things and destroying everything, in its way, but I still felt like the concept was just a bit weird, like not really something you'd necessarily want to have a game about, but I don't know, maybe that's just me. Oh, that's the, that thing exists in Bloodborne, right? As a helmet? Yeah. It's also, it's the helmet where if you go down a ladder really, really fast, it just bonks on every step of the ladder. So if you go down the ladder, it just goes ding, 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 which would absolutely hurt like hell if you know, in real life would wear a metal helmet like that. Then again, who would ever wear a metal helmet like that, right? They're trying to repair it as quickly as possible to get the data to the next destination. Oh, what kind of rocket is that? We still haven't found an artifact, though. Although I have found... Wait, shouldn't we have found... I found 4 puzzle pieces, but I haven't found any artifact here. And this looks like it leads to the next level section, right? So you're, that's the guy from Ratchet and Clank, right? I haven't played one of those games. I kind of want to. I mean, I have, PS Plus at one point had one of the Ratchet and Clank games, so you should probably look into that at some point. It's just that I'm usually not that big on platformers in general. And this is Killzone. Those are the Helgas. Killzone was a really fun shooter, by the way. I really, really like Killzone 2. So the issue with Killzone 2 was, right, first of all, it looked phenomenal. It was a... Wait, is this where we're supposed to continue? I don't think it is, right? It seems dangerous to be stuck in there. But yeah, the thing was that, well, Killzone 2 looked pretty phenomenal on the PlayStation 3. And the thing that I personally really liked about it was that what's the correct way to continue here? The thing that I really liked about it was actually its control scheme, and I know a lot of people sort of didn't, or at least it got a lot of flack in reviews for its sort of fairly sluggish and slow controls, but I really liked that because it felt like it really just had a lot of weight to it. So the combat just felt very, very different, right? Usually in a first-person shooter, I guess, well, logically you'd want sort of the best or most direct control possible, especially if it's something you can play online, right? But obviously that's not very realistic, right? Nobody would be able to turn around that fast, for example, or aim a gun that fast, things like that, right? And Killzone 2 just had this very, very cool, like, weighty feel to everything, right? Everything really, really felt like, well, it just had this actual weight to it, right? And that made it slower in terms of its gameplay, it felt like. But it was very unique. That's just the thing, right? And I really liked it. Also, it had, well, back then, that was probably a fairly revolutionary thing. As a first-person shooter, it actually had a cover system, right? Where I think it was L2 that you needed to hold behind cover, and you sort of dynamically went into cover, and you could also shoot over the cover and stuff like that, which also felt really great. Obviously, you know, in a way, it still was very, what's the name for it? It was still very much a sort of your typical war story, right? It wasn't necessarily... Wait, is this the... If this is the next map, then what's the tower about? Ah, there it is. So for some reason we're in the PlayStation 2 era then. Well, that's unfortunate. I didn't want to be here. Let me just... edit this then. That's... Yeah, I don't know, that's weird. But whatever. It's not a big deal. Copes well under pressure. Yeah, it sure does. The last controller that actually had a cable on it. I also completely forgot about the... So it had an analog button. I don't remember what that was for, to be honest. I don't think that the later controllers actually had that, right? Because wasn't that somehow still like basically an artifact of older games only using the D-pad? So on the original PlayStation, the first controllers didn't even have analog sticks, right? It was still completely like only the D-pad. That you controlled the games with. And then later on they came out, I have no idea because, well, I was still a small child back then. I have no idea when exactly new controllers with analog sticks were released. And I remember that, well, the original PlayStation, I think, also had this analog button, right? Which would essentially make it so that you have, like, it would basically give you quick access to whether or not you wanted to play the game with the D-pad or with an analog stick. I don't actually remember that the PlayStation 2 still had that button. I guess it makes sense, right? But, yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. Also, controllers back then didn't have triggers. I mean, they had the the L2, R2 buttons, but those weren't triggers. They were just normal buttons. Which also meant that I think, I mean, even in the PlayStation 3 era as well, in most first-person shooters, shooting was actually R1. Nowadays it's R2, right? Because it's pulled the trigger. And I think, wasn't the Xbox 360 the first console who actually changed that concept? I think the 360 was the first console that actually had triggers on the controller. I mean, I'm sure there were probably like PC controllers or something out there that had triggers maybe before that or something. But yeah, in the PlayStation 2 era, that wasn't a thing. Those were just normal buttons. Also, this always, like, brings me back to, we had select and start buttons on a lot of controllers, right? I mean, wasn't it basically Nintendo? Although, well, I'm not entirely sure, but everything back then, right? The Game Boy, PlayStation 1, whatever, they all had start and select buttons, which is still kind of a weird concept to me, because the start button sort of suggests that, well, you start the game with it, and a lot of games did have like the main menu. Like when you first boot up the game, it would always say press start button. So in that sense, the name of the button makes sense. But in the game itself, the button was used to access the pause menu most of the time, right? I mean, I guess it's still meant, you know, you could argue that it still fits, right? You're accessing the pause menu and then you're starting the game back up again from the pause menu. So start in that case. Still, I don't know. I don't know whoever came up with that name. Also, select sort of suggests that it would be kind of an options menu thing, right? You can select different options or something. But it was never really used like that. Usually select had some sort of very obscure thing on it. It was very rarely actually used for something like with purpose in game, right? It was always some weird niche control thing, or I think so. For example, in GTA, it adjusted your camera angle, if I remember correctly, which in a way you could argue is some sort of option that you quote unquote select, right? But it was always things like that. So some weird like quick access option, but you weren't able to customize it in any sort of way, right? So I don't know. I think it was quite often used for camera adjustments. Just some, like, it's a weird thing to think about, right? Because nowadays the PlayStation controller has an options button, which is a much better name in my opinion. I mean, it's still not a great name, I would think, but it's a much better name for what it's actually supposed to do, right? And then usually if games have some sort of different thing they want to do, some niche thing, they're using the touchpad for something, right? So, for example, isn't it like Bloodborne and FromSoft games, the touchpad usually accesses the emote menu. So sort of a quick access for certain things. And then the select button just straight up doesn't exist anymore. Now it's a share button. Which, when the PlayStation 4 back then was announced, and they said that it would have a share button, I thought that was extremely unnecessary. I mean, back then streaming and all that kind of stuff was still very, very niche. And I still think that the button itself might be a bit of an overkill. But having said that, you can actually change it to be a screenshot button, right? So you can change it so that when you press the share button once, it automatically just takes a screenshot of whatever's on screen. And I think the fact that they introduced that is pretty cool, because that's a lot of fun, being able to screenshot everything right away. Because I do think that was something that was unfortunate on the PlayStation 3. You couldn't, I think, Could you even screenshot things on the PlayStation 3? Only if the game had like a dedicated option for that, I think. So most games didn't have that, right? Alright. Let's go to the next section then. I know I'm missing an artifact here, so we'll probably have to come back to this. Yes, this starts the rocket. I sure hope that one guy isn't still sitting in the exhaust, the engine. Although I guess only we are starting, not the rocket itself. Okay, that's really fun. Ugh. I feel like we're missing a ton of stuff here. Whoa. Oh, you can control them individually. I probably shouldn't have gone that fast, to be honest. At least you can't die by hitting the rocks. It's very fortunate. So, I guess there's something special down here, probably. Also, these look like LEDs, right? On top there, the plants. That's kind of fun. Yay, puzzle piece! The guy in the background dancing on... I guess that's some, like, internet data that's been transported there on that wire. Oh, there's 2 access points for this, alright. Just have to check. You can fly these things, buy these things pretty fast, so it's kind of easy to miss these side caves here. Ooh, what's that? That looks dangerous. That's very cool. Boom! That's a new artifact. PS2 multi-tab. See, that's something that I actually don't really know existed. I mean, I can imagine what it's supposed to be, right? So the PlayStation 2 had 2 controller slots, right? And this is also what it looked like on PlayStation 2, which is just a really cool design. This grated design that the PlayStation 2 had, I thought was pretty cool. And then you had, well, on the PlayStation 2 itself, you had 2 memory card slots and 2 controller slots. I think this thing was used to make it possible to insert more controllers. So even though the console itself only had the ability to plug 2 controllers in it, you could buy this thing and it would let you plug in 4 controllers at one time. Although I don't really... Was it plugging into one of the controller slots? So I guess technically you would have been able to then put in 5 controllers, but I don't think there was ever a game that was being could have been played with 5 people. I think 4 was max back then, I'm pretty sure. Which is also quite interesting because on the PlayStation 3 then, obviously you didn't have the cables anymore, and you could actually, I think, plug in 7 controllers on the PlayStation 3, which was kind of a weird number, but I think that might have been because of the lights. The PlayStation 3 controller had these 4 lights on the back, right? And it had 1, 2, 3, 4. Or was it still 8? No, wait a second. It should have been like it sort of added. So if you like player number 5, it would light up the 4 and the 1, right? Oh, yeah, right. And then for player number 6, it would light up the 4 and the 2. Player number 7 had the 4 and the 3. And I don't think that it was actually possible to plug in an 8th one. But I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, back then, you actually physically had to plug them in, right? So... really, really fun. Also, again, the fact that we had memory cards back then... it's not even necessarily about the fact that they only had, like, the standard memory card only came with 8 megabytes, which is ridiculously low compared to even the like 60 gigabytes hard drive that the PlayStation 3 then came with, right? I mean, think about what kind of jump that was. So, like, I think, didn't the launch model of the PlayStation 4 only have a 500 gigabyte drive? So the difference there just doesn't seem too big, right? 60 gigabytes on the launch PlayStation 3 versus 500 gigabytes on the launch PlayStation 4. That's like that's an increase that seems sort of normal, right? From one generation to the next. Interestingly enough, now we don't even have that much more on the PlayStation 5, right? But back then it was 8 megabytes. I mean, well, the difference obviously also being that now, or starting with the PlayStation 3, online games that you bought on the store, but also just other games, they actually installed something onto the drive. Whereas on PlayStation 3, it was literally only the safe games that were stored on the memory card, right? The entire game was being run off of the DVD. So it basically was a completely different system in that sense. And in a way, it was a really cool thing because you could literally just take save games with you, right? If you wanted to go to a friend and continue your save game, you literally just take out the memory card, bring it over to your friends, insert it into his PlayStation, and you would have your save files. Well, you can still do that on PlayStation 3, obviously, but you need a USB stick, right? It's not inherently built into the console, I think. Although, well, then later on, I guess you could just log into your PSN account on your friend's PlayStation and download your save file. If you stored it in the cloud, that is certainly something you can do as well. But this was just a very, very, very easy plug-and-play thing, right? Although it was kind of unfortunate because the fact that you had to buy an accessory to play with 4 people basically meant that not a lot of games were actually utilizing the fact that you could do that, right? I feel like I'm missing a lot more this time around compared to last time. Or maybe it's just the level structure here that's different in that regard. Definitely have to pay attention not to go too fast in here. Alright, let me see. There's another thing down here. What are these weird things? These spider things that just ran away. What are they meant to be? Do we need more speed or something? Oh yeah, I do. Huh. Here's the next one. Ah, there it is! Improved in every way, resists even the most powerful psychics. PlayStation 2 8 megabyte memory card, Magic 8. Very, very cool. It had a pretty sleek design, I think. Right? I mean, it just looked very cool. Also, what did the PlayStation 1 memory card came with? Wasn't it just like a 1 megabyte card at the beginning? And then later on, I think they bumped it up to like 4 megabytes or something? The weird thing is, right, is that there were third-party memory cards available. That's still somehow like a weird thing to me, that was a thing, right? So most people, I think they had sort of the original card that came with the console. I'm pretty sure that the PS2 came with a memory card. And then most people just bought a third-party one because, interestingly, the third-party ones had more memory space, right? You could get up to 32 megabytes of space. Which was obviously, I mean, there were a couple of games. I think especially like bigger games like Metal Gear Solid actually took quite a lot of space on the memory card. So having a 32 megabyte one meant that you could have a lot of save files from a lot of different games on the memory card. Whereas the 8 megabyte one wouldn't allow you to get so many, right? So you had to get a second one anyway if you wanted to keep your save files. Also, the like indented, like the what could you call that? That space on the front of it, right? That sort of dented inwards. That was actually so that you could put stickers on it. So I don't really remember what these cards came with, but I do remember that I had a third-party one on GameCube that came with the sticker that basically had lines on it, so you could write onto like the paper, right? So you would place the sticker on the memory card, and then you could write on the sticker, so you could write down what kind of save files were actually on it, right? So you could differentiate between the different memory cards. And then there were some games, I think, that actually came with stickers that would fit onto the memory cards, so you could sort of theme your memory card around the game, right? Especially since there were actually a couple of games, like I said, that basically took the entire space of one memory card, especially if you had multiple save files as well. So they would come with this like small sticker that you could put onto the memory card, making that memory card essentially for that game, right? And you could look at the memory card and recognize, oh yeah, I saved this or that on it, right? Also, I think most DVD boxes for the PS2 games came with like a holder, a memory card holder. So in the actual DVD box, the DVD was placed slightly lower, not in the middle, and on top you had like these plastic hooks, essentially, that you could place the memory card into. So if you had a memory card with save files of a specific game, you could always keep that memory card in the actual DVD box of the corresponding game, which I think was kind of a cool idea. The only sort of, I guess, downside to it was that at least the original memory cards were hella expensive. I don't remember their actual price, but they were, well, let me just put it that way. Like, they were expensive to a point where, at least as a teenager or something, you definitely didn't buy a memory card for every single game, and you definitely didn't buy the original Sony ones, right? So, yeah, that whole concept with the stickers probably wasn't utilized all that much. It was still a neat idea, though. And I remember that from GameCube, right? Which obviously Nintendo, a bit of a different thing, but I think Pokemon Colosseum actually came with a memory card in the game box, because compared to a lot of other games, Pokemon Colosseum took up the whole memory card, and so they gave you basically a free one when you bought the game, because they knew that you had to get another one, right? Which was kind of cool. I don't know whether or not they did that on PlayStation 2 as well. I'm sure there were probably a couple of games that came with an extra memory card. Also, there were probably some bundles. Just like nowadays we have bundles with the second controller, stuff like that. Back then, I think they had bundles that came with 2 memory cards, right? So... Also, the fact that you had limited space available, just, you know, if you hadn't played a game for a very long time, you would literally just delete the save files, right? If you didn't need them anymore, then you wouldn't keep around everything, because you had that limited space, right? And I never had more than 2 memory cards for any console that I owned, so if, in fact, I didn't have enough space anymore, I would just delete save files. That was just how it was back then. Okay, let's continue. I wonder what these weird heart spiders are meant to represent. Whether or not they connect to any game. Well, now this opens. I wondered what this tube was about. So, just to get you out quicker, I guess. Bonk. Yeah, the motion controls here are, I wouldn't necessarily say finicky. Ugh. Bonk. Wait, they don't actually kill me? I guess I'm not meant to kill that thing? Oh, I meant to land here. Now I got it. That's why they have the racing flag finish line thing. What is he playing with? Oh, they're playing volleyball with the enemies. That's funny. Those poor enemies. They probably didn't sign up for that. Collect a couple more coins. What are they doing here? So the ones in the back, once again with that A5081, or is it A50B1? Here it looks more like a B. Yeah. I wonder what that's in reference to. I feel like I should know that. I probably knew at some point. I feel like there is something in the back of my memory that knows what that's about, but I just can't remember at this point. I feel like we're still missing a puzzle piece. Oh no, we're not actually. So I'm only missing one artifact so far. I don't think I can do anything with those up top there. Deep data space. Hey! Wait, I feel like... Didn't enemies in the first level actually kill me directly when they hit me? Now they're just sort of bonking on me and then nothing happens. Weird. He's just chilling on the LED. What are you guys doing? That's Devil May Cry, right? He looks like... Isn't that Dante? I never played that series either, by the way, but yeah, it's very recognizable. Also, what's he shooting with? The sound of that is just really funny. Looks like almost like a PlayStation Move controller. Okay, continues up there, right? So this should be... What is this? Ooh. Another puzzle piece. Well, that's certainly a move controller. Background's also really cool. So you have some sort of nebula over there that looks like a PlayStation controller. Very, very cool. I wish it wouldn't, like, if you zoom in, it blurs out the background, which is a bit unfortunate. Wow, that also looked pretty cool. The PlayStation symbols as fireworks. Also, they actually made this look like the space station, right? This, like, I don't know, material. What would you call that? This material, fluffy material, whatever. Very much looks almost like a realistic space station, doesn't it? 1 second. I want to quickly check something here. Alright. That's fine. What's that in the back? Supposed to be like a black hole? Poor astrobots flying into it? Boom! Yeah, that looks really beautiful. And now they have, they look like, they also remember me of something. Don't they look like the Wipeout chips? I think they do, right? Which is a PlayStation exclusive racing game. Oh no! The other fellow fell off! Where did you go? I hope you're still there somewhere. You're really bullying the other astrobots all the time. Another puzzle piece. Oink. Looks like a funny, funny ball. This reminds me a bit of something they did on the PlayStation 3, which was like an online... What was it called? Like almost a music contest or something? They did that once. I don't even know why they did it. It was also really, really obscure because... So, the... And it's also not connected to PlayStation 2, so I don't really know why this is here specifically. Maybe this is in reference to something else, or maybe they just put it here because they like the aesthetic, whatever. But when the PlayStation 3 launched, or shortly after it launched, like for a long time, there actually wasn't that much on the PSN store. It took, I think, almost a year before there was even anything remotely interesting available. The only thing that you could download right from the get-go was the Gran Turismo HD demo version thing that only had like one track and 3 cars or something. It was a pretty cool showcase of what that game was supposed to be, right? And it was cool that at least it would let you use the PlayStation Store for something, because otherwise there just literally wasn't anything in there. But after a while, like after like 1 to 2 years, obviously a couple of PSN games released and all that kind of stuff. But what they also did was, for some reason, only on certain like country stores, not you couldn't see that on in every country, but they released a video series where they promoted a couple of bands from certain countries. So there was like one band from Germany, one from France, one from the UK, so all over Europe. And the interesting part was that they had like one video where they introduced the band with the band members, and they did like interviews with them, and those were like 12 to 15 minute videos, something like that. And then they also recorded, like professionally recorded music videos of, I think it was like 3 songs per band or something, and you could download them as well. And that was really, really cool because that was the first time that they did something like that on the PlayStation Store. And it was actually full 1080p video, which back then, I mean, that was still like 2008, 2009, somewhere around that, was a really, really big deal, right? I think at that point, YouTube had also already introduced their like HD videos, but most videos that you would watch on the internet were 720p, and also they didn't look as professional, right? So it was pretty cool downloading those videos and having music videos that were properly 1080p. They looked incredible, right? That was really something back then. And so why this ball that he's dancing on reminded me of that is because they used, I think it was like the sort of the intro, the opening credits, whatever you want to call it, to that show with the bands, used these symbols that they have here very similarly to this one. Like it looked very similar. I don't know, it just reminded me of it, but it was kind of fun that things like that existed as well. Wait, am I supposed to like use this ball for something? How are you supposed to open this? That's weird. Am I not meant to open this? Very weird. The other nebula doesn't look like anything, though. It's only that one that does look like a PlayStation controller. Once again, I'm bullying the other ones. Oh no! I think he flew towards the black hole. Wait, where do I continue? Probably that way? Maybe I can jump back down to that thing? Ugh. How? I wouldn't have thought that you'd actually be able to go onto these satellite things. Whoa! Where did you come from? Ah, there it is. The PlayStation 2 discs. Yeah, I think I said that last time. Blue is the new black. I don't remember the games all having a blue background. I think it was actually a bit less common on the PlayStation 2. Maybe it also depended on region. That might be it, but like 99% of PlayStation 1 games that I saw always had the black background. But I think a lot of PlayStation 2 games that I saw actually just looked like normal DVDs. So I remember there definitely being a couple ones that had the blue background, but I think it was much less of a thing compared to the PlayStation 1. But again, that might also just be dependent on region. For example, I could definitely think that most North American PlayStation 2 games were probably blue. Whereas I feel like the European ones might have not been. Which is also something that isn't a thing anymore, right? The region lock stuff. And it wasn't even... I don't know if regional locking was ever really because of any specific reason. I mean, I'd imagine it was like financially better because you were obviously not really able to import from other countries if you didn't have a corresponding console for that kind of thing. But... well, mostly the region locking was obviously because Europe and North America use different different ways to interpret the video signal, right? PAL versus NTSC, and that just wasn't a thing anymore with the PS3 and HD. Ouch. That's actually not what I wanted to do. For some reason it didn't do my double jump. He's just eating popcorn. Yay, another puzzle piece. Am I meant to use this platform for anything? Just to jump up, I guess. Seriously? Still slightly confused about that box down there. Because it also has these cables, and usually they always mean that... Like in this case, even though I've done this a million times, it still shows the tutorial for how it's supposed to be done. But then you have that one thing down there, which apparently didn't do anything. I don't know. What the hell is that? You get a minigun in here? Holy shit. Oh! Oh, that's really fun. Also, the feedback on the trigger is pretty cool. Because it has... How are they doing that? Oh, I guess what they're doing is they... So there's like... what's it called? There's like a piece to the trigger, right? There is a an additional what could you call that? Oh, it uses up the minigun though. Listen. Hey, the iToy. But yeah, what do you call that? So the way the triggers work now, right? Usually it's just, I guess, one spring. And you push in the trigger and the spring makes it so that the trigger comes back out, obviously, right? Once you don't push on it anymore. And the thing that they've done with the PlayStation 5 controllers is that there is like this plastic piece that is driven by a small motor, I think. And the motor can drive the plastic piece more outwards or more inwards, right? So if you press down on the trigger, you feel that plastic piece, right? So they can sort of introduce an artificial point where it's more difficult to push in the trigger because you have to overcome the force that the motor is exerting, right? On your finger, essentially. And that's why they have the ability to make it so that you can, like, push the trigger in halfway very easily, for example, and then you actually have to exercise more force on it, which makes it feel like you're actually pushing or pulling some sort of trigger, right? And what they're doing with this cannon in this case is that I think what they're doing is they constantly drive the motor outwards, right? So you're pressing the trigger, and the motor then constantly rotates outwards to make it appear like the trigger is moving back and forward, basically, right? Because you're shooting multiple things back to back. It's a really, really cool feeling. And this is the iToy camera, the predecessor to the PlayStation Eye on the PS3. And I think back then that was also pretty cool technology, right? Obviously this wasn't an HD camera, it was still SD. Keeps your granny entertained, alright? But just the idea that you had this sort of camera for a console, I don't necessarily remember the games. I definitely never played anything that had something to do with the iToy camera. I also didn't know anyone who had it. But it's just very cool that something like that already existed back then. Because I do think that it was a pretty good camera, all things considered, for the time when it released. Much like the PlayStation Eye later for the PS3, it was also a pretty good camera. I think I also said that last time, right? The PlayStation Eye camera, there's actually some open source drivers that you can download from it, so so that you can use it on the PC. And I think it's like because it's so cheap to get nowadays, a lot of sort of universities and stuff just use it. Yeah, actually it feels pretty cool. They're just partying. They don't even react to... Oh, they do react to being shot, but they don't care. Which is kind of funny. Can I go over there? Is there a point to do that? I don't think so. Oh, you can actually, like, if you push the, or I guess, so you can definitely aim this thing slightly. It also probably just has some sort of auto aim on it. It feels like you're definitely very easy to hit the enemies. Ooh, that's a lot. Yay. And that's, that ship. I don't remember what the game was called. It's also definitely in reference to a PlayStation game. I just don't remember what it was called. Or is that maybe, not Wipeout? There was like a PSN game that also released for the PlayStation 3 later on. I don't know if that existed back on the PS2 as well. I mean, I know the ship, right? It's very recognizable. I just really don't remember what game that was. There's something that can blow up with you? Oh yeah, there is. Though this time I guess it's just coins? Pick one back here. I don't know, these tutorials are also just kind of weird. That they sometimes decide to show you a tutorial even though you still, like, I just arrived there, right? It would make sense if they showed the tutorial if, like, after, let's say, 20 seconds or something, you still hadn't continued. And I know that I'm pretty sure that you can turn off the tutorials. That's not the issue, but just kind of weird. How, like, I don't get what decides or how they decide whether or not to show a tutorial or not. It just seems kind of random. Yay! Alright, let me see. Probably... Alright, so they... I was wondering how they were going to do that, but they have these shield things that block your way, so that you can't fly out towards nothingness. This is actual water in here, right? That's kind of funny. It's a pretty cool design, actually. That's something that's very unusual. Having like a water bubble mountain, not mountain, but rock thing, water bubble rock. Ouch. in space. Oh, there was a checkpoint here. Oh, that's good. That's just the start of the level, right? Yeah. Ooh. Check out this one. This time there isn't water in here. Just empty. This section is actually a bit more challenging than compared to the rest of the game, I feel like. New artifact! There it is, the actual console. Cute kid, looks just like his mom. Wait, this is the second version though, right? This is the Slim. The PS2 Slim. Which is pretty cool as well, that it has the same basic design as the original one. It's also kind of mind-blowing that it already had USB ports on it. Right? That seems like such a weird... I mean, I know that USB has been around for a very, very long time, and they've obviously just updated its speeds and stuff, but still USB, because we still use it nowadays, you know, just seems like I guess like a normal modern thing. And then right next to it are these old school looking controller input slots. Just kind of a fun thing, right? I don't remember, where was the DVD drive on this thing? Was it up top as well? I think, didn't the Slim just open the top basically, so the whole right side of the console is the DVD drive, and if you open it up, it would just flip open, essentially. I think that's how the Slim worked. Very cool piece of hardware. And it had an actual network plug-in thing as well. Which not a lot of consoles back then had either. I don't think the GameCube had that. Ah, yeah, you can actually open it. Yeah, so this... I mean, it wasn't as cheap as the second PS3 Slim, but it was definitely... So the original PlayStation 2 has a DVD drive that actually properly... what's the word you would use for that? Like, it, you know, you press the button, it just comes out of the console, and then you can push it back in like an actual DVD drive always look like, especially on PCs. And then for the Slim version, they changed it to this, I guess, a bit cheaper style, where it doesn't have a motor that drives that drives out and in, but instead it's just a flip open plastic cover that you manually have to push down again as well. I mean, not a big deal. In this case, I think it's actually fine. It also looks pretty cool, right? It's very reminiscent of like old school CD players as well, that had very similar designs. The reason why it felt much cheaper on the second PS3 Slim is because it had, like, it didn't flip open like this, but instead it was a sliding thing. And that sliding just felt very, very cheap. I mean, this one still kind of looks cool. Also, I definitely like that the PS2 Slim actually pretty much kept the design of the original console, just in a slimmer form factor. Whereas later on, they kind of did away with that. Although, well, not entirely. Sometimes. Alright, that was, should have just kept my motor rolling. Or my, ouch. Bonk bonk. see, that doesn't kill you, but these things immediately do. It's an interesting choice, I guess. These sideways caves are kind of a bit weird to control. I mean, it's all motion controls, basically, because you have to turn the controller, which is a bit annoying. Oh, they actually fly towards the camera as well. That's a pretty fun design. I guess the point of these cannons is to sort of try to shoot you back towards the things that'll kill you. Ooh, this looks ice cave. There's a penguin here! And the poor fellow in the back has been locked into the ice. And there's another artifact here. Let's see what this is about then. Oh, it's the SingStar microphone! Your neighbors will be thrilled. Also, that's actually really funny. Because of me talking, it does this, like, blue sparkle thing, right? If I stop talking, it actually stops it. So that's really funny. They can do stuff like this now, right? Because the controller has a microphone built in as well, which wasn't a thing back on the PlayStation 4, I think. But the PS5 controller has that for some reason. I don't know why the controller would have to have a microphone. I guess, well, for stuff like this, right? There's also other sections in Astro's Playroom here where you have to sort of blow into the controller, right? To activate some sort of wind-based mechanics. Which is, I mean, it's kind of cool. It's something that Nintendo did a lot back on the DS, I think. DS and 3DS had a couple of things like that. It's not really necessary. I don't know. Those things are always kind of hard to tell whether or not it's actually something that you would want. Especially considering how low the battery, or how short the battery lasts on the controllers. I feel like they almost kind of went a little bit overboard with the amount of stuff that is in it. I don't know if that's entirely necessary, but whatever. What are they putting? Bot Fighter. They're playing on the original PlayStation 1 back then. Alright, so what is this about? Ooh, it's not that easy to get, actually. They give you a lot of checkpoints here, though. Oh, is this an actual boss fight? It is! Interesting. Whoa. Yeah, as I said, I'm not the biggest fan of these motion controls. It's not a big deal. But they... like, it's very, very easy to just float towards the sides. Guess that's it. Oh, I have to activate this as well. Yay! Whoa! Oh, we get like a special Champion Road style thing here. That's really, really cool. Does somewhat remind me of the Mario Kart track, right? Rainbow Road. Just with the PlayStation logo, obviously. God of War! I'm playing God of War. And yeah, that's an actual PlayStation 2 console, like the original one, the fatter one. Which I always liked more, right? I know, obviously, like, technically, especially if you have a lot of, I guess, devices in your living room or whatever, then having a slim version that's actually not that big is kind of beneficial. But I always like the original console designs more. They just feel a lot more, I don't know, interesting, special, whatever you want to call that. I mean, they just feel like this big piece of awesome hardware, right? Whereas the slim consoles or the things that come out later on, they always seem a bit cheaper. I mean, they are, right? That's why they do that, so that they can sell them cheaper and make the hardware cheaper to produce. But yeah, at the same time, it's just the original ones are always just cooler looking, I feel like. Ooh, and it has the PlayStation 2 menu sound as well. That's really, really cool. And the visuals of it as well. So these blocks that are coming out, that's what the PlayStation 2 menu had. Interestingly enough, well, first of all, I think if you inserted a game right away, it wouldn't actually, that's the same on PlayStation 1 as well. PlayStation 1 and 2, if you inserted a game right away, it actually wouldn't load the menu, but rather it would just load the game right away. So the menu only appeared if you turned on the console without a game inserted and then inserted the game, right? And it would just... Well, there was basically only like 2 options on the PlayStation 2 menu, which was you could do some adjustments to the console's basic options, although I don't remember what that actually entailed. It wasn't much. And then there was a browser for some kind, for some reason. I never saw anybody use the browser. I mean, most people that I knew didn't even have internet back then. Or if they had, it most certainly wasn't connected to the PlayStation 2. And so I never actually saw anybody use the PlayStation 2 browser. Considering that even the PlayStation 3 browser and even the PS4 one were pretty bad ones, all things considered. So especially the PlayStation 3 one, the PS4 browser isn't the worst, although it does have some problems, but the PlayStation 3 one was incredibly annoying. It was incredibly slow, which is, well, not necessarily the browser's fault, maybe more the console's fault, but it just, I mean, Flash was a big thing back then still, right? It just straight up didn't have Flash. So most videos, for example, you couldn't even look at, couldn't even watch. Was there even a YouTube app on the PS3? I think they released one later on, but you weren't able to browse YouTube, for example, on the PS3 browser, mind you, right? So I don't know what you would have actually been able to do with the PlayStation 2 browser. I don't think that it would have been all that useful. But again, I've never seen anybody actually use it, so no idea how good or bad it was. But yeah, that's what the menu looked like, with these interesting shapes. And there it is, the original one. "2000 The Game's Odyssey." Yeah, very, very cool. It's just such a classic design, right? Such a cool design. And also especially the original Sony consoles, so the PlayStation 2. The PlayStation 2 actually was the first Sony console that could be that could stand upright like this, right? And the cool thing is they implemented the PlayStation symbol on the DVD drive could be turned, right? So that if you installed the console like this, you could turn the small plastic PlayStation sign on the side 90 degrees to make it fit this style, I guess. And the PlayStation 3, the original fat one, actually incorporated that design as well, where it also had a small plastic PlayStation sign next to its Blu-ray drive, and you could turn that as well, in case you wanted to stand the console up like this, right? But yeah, it's just a very, very cool looking design. Also, I mean, obviously it's all plastic, but this grated design that they did, it felt incredibly sturdy. Like, this thing felt like an actual brick, right? This felt like something that could fall down or, well, probably survive a fire even. I don't think it can, but, you know, it was just a very, very solid design. It really felt like something that was built to last. And I think most of them did, actually. At least I never heard anybody complain back then. Well, again, I didn't know that many people that had a PlayStation 2, but the ones that I knew, the PlayStation 2 pretty much still runs. I'm pretty sure that, well, again, I never heard about anybody complaining that it broke or anything, right? Which was an entirely different story for the PlayStation 3. Although, to be fair, I don't think that I've ever heard of PlayStation 4s breaking. I mean, I think some PS4s have problems with their Blu-ray drive, but mine are working completely fine, and I don't think that there was any kind of bigger issue with PlayStation 4s breaking or anything. So, I guess they, well, rectified their problems that they had with the PlayStation 3. Yeah, and so you have the two memory card slots. They also look, it's just very, very cool, I think, that they also kept this grated design for both the DVD drive and the memory card slots. This makes it look very, very cool if everything's closed up, right? And then the memory card slots, I think they would fold in, so you just could push a memory card in there. Then the controller slots, and yeah, it had those USB, the USB things as well. And the one on the right, I think, that was like a purposefully done input for the SingStar microphones, I think? I don't know if all PlayStation 2s actually had that. I also don't know whether or not it was always blue like that. But maybe I just don't remember fully. And then let's take a look on the back. Can I actually turn? It's kind of difficult. I have to turn my whole controller around. A big fan back there. And then here on the left, the thing that looks like it can open, that was where you could insert an actual HDD into it, right? And also other stuff. Wasn't there like a big network adapter or something? Because yeah, as we saw, the PlayStation 2 Slim actually came with a network, like a LAN port, right? This one didn't have that. So you would have to buy like a network adapter for it. And I think that plugged in where the HDD would plug in as well. I also think, didn't the network adapter pretty much came with like an So how did it work back then? I think you couldn't just install an HDD into the PS2. I think you had to buy like some sort of accessory that you could like open this up here on the left, right? And then you could put the HDD into some sort of plastic casing or something, and that casing would then be put into the PlayStation 2. And I think what the network adapter did was something kind of similar to that, where the network adapter would, well, basically do the same thing, right? Where you also could put an HDD into it, but it also had the network connection like the LAN adapter, I think. I'm not really sure on that, though. Interestingly enough, it also had an optical output for sound. And the main power switch. Very, very cool piece of hardware. I still absolutely love this design. Let me turn my controller back around. Alright. I didn't even press the interact button. Yeah, so you can open up the DVD drive. And this was obviously like a normal drive, right? With a motor attached to it that would slide out and back in. So most people that I knew that had one always had it like this, right? I don't think anybody ever did this with it and put it up vertically. Mostly because, like, well, in most cases, people had it like below their TV or something, right? So you would need a lot of space next to your TV to put it up vertically like that. So I don't know whether or not there were ever any issues with inserting DVDs like this. I don't think there were. At least I never heard about something like that, but that's always the one thing that kind of makes me wary about putting up consoles like this, right? Because I think, wasn't it on Xbox 360 as well, where they had kind of, at the beginning, had a couple of problems with people putting up their consoles like this, and then it would, well, basically eat the DVD, would destroy the DVD because the drive didn't actually work properly in that orientation. Not too sure if I remember that correctly, to be completely honest, though. Alright, very, very cool. I don't think we missed much. I think we missed like one artifact or something. Oh, the floor always just turns green. Okay. Interesting. And a lot of puzzle pieces as well. Alright, let's check out what we got. Weirdly enough, I mean, I guess it's because the PS Vita, or not the Vita, the PSP was a thing, while the PlayStation 3 was the current console. I'm just wondering why they didn't put one of the slim versions of the PS3 here. But I guess it's because of the PSP probably. Because they have the PlayStation 2 version. Oh yeah, you can actually, if you punch it. See, so this is, you could turn it like this to put up the console vertically. That's kind of fun. Let me take a look at this. So, AD 2000, yeah, that's when it came out. Oh, right, you could also get these blue stands for it. You didn't have to. So, the PlayStation 5 now just comes with a stand in the box, right? And you actually have to use it no matter what orientation you're putting it up in. It's kind of an interesting decision. But for the PlayStation 2 back then, you could just put it up vertically. The PlayStation 3 as well. They didn't really care. They also had like actual, well, these, what are they called? Like little feet, right? This little rubber feet on one side so that you could actually put it up vertically without any problems. But if you wanted to, you could actually get those blue attachments for it. And I guess they looked pretty cool, right? The PlayStation 2 also lit up blue when it was turned on, right? So yeah, that actually, I never knew anybody who had those, but in advertisements and such, it always looked pretty cool. And then DVD, obviously, was a big thing back then. First console with a DVD drive, which was pretty forward-thinking again, right? The same thing that they did with the Blu-ray drive in the PS3. The fact that in the year 2000, it actually came with a DVD drive, right? Which made it pretty much the default DVD player for a lot of people, right? I mean, it's the same with the PS3. Why would you ever buy a Blu-ray player if you can just use your PlayStation, right? I mean, it wasn't really, the thing is with the with actual DVD players back then, I think for the most part they weren't really that expensive. They very, very quickly dropped in price, especially if, like, most people didn't really care that much about the DVD player's quality, especially considering that most people still didn't have like an HD TV or something back then, right? So it didn't really matter all that much. So most DVD players were actually pretty cheap. right? So there were, in fact, a lot of people who still either had like a dedicated DVD player as well, or if they didn't have a PS2, they just had a very cheap DVD player. Also, for example, when I bought my my old audio system AV receiver that I have, I actually bought that for the PlayStation 3, but it was shortly after it came out, I think, that I bought it. So it's should be about 13, 14 years old at this point. And it just came with a DVD player, right? That was just a thing back then. Whereas it was very much different with the PlayStation 3, because actual Blu-ray players went for like between $200 and $300, which obviously was like, you could just spend a bit more and literally buy a PlayStation 3, right? I mean, the PlayStation 3, I think, fairly quickly dropped its price down to $400. It didn't take that long, did it? And at that point, the Blu-ray players were still fairly expensive. So, yeah, I don't know anyone who ever bought a dedicated Blu-ray player. Whereas, again, DVD players were very, very common. 128-bit, was that a thing? Did they advertise it as being 128-bit, like, ready or something? Seems really unnecessary, but alright. Sure. And then the iToy camera as well. Also interesting that they called it iToy, right? Since it's, I mean, yeah, it's a toy, right? You can argue that it's a toy, but at the same time, why would they call it that? Kind of weird, but alright. Let's see, is there anything else here? It's not really connected to the console itself, and I think we had these guys. We looked at them last time already. Where do they come from? Didn't expect to be. I didn't expect there to be enemies here. Okay. He's standing in front of the camera, making his moves. It also came with this really cool stand, which is pretty cool. The PlayStation, the PlayStation Eye camera on the PlayStation 3 also came with a stand. Wait, don't we have that here? Yeah, we have that here. It also came with a stand, and it was actually a very good one. It felt very, very solid and just very high quality to me. And then, unfortunately, on the PlayStation 4, when they released the camera with the console, for some reason it didn't really come with a stand. It just had this weird tilting mechanism that made it really, really difficult to put it up anywhere. Especially because at that point, when the PS4 released, most TVs were also a lot thinner, so it was pretty much impossible putting the camera up, like, on the TV. I don't know, that was kind of a weird thing. Oh, sorry, buddy. He's just hugging the console. But yeah, these blue stands, I think they look incredible, to be honest. They really fit the overall console design really, really well. One thing that I kind of wish they had done here is actually connect cables from the controller to the console and stuff, so that you would be able to look at the controller input thing. But I guess they wanted to have them as like individual objects. There's the memory card. Okay. The capsule machine's back here, right? Yeah, let me spend the coins that I got. What is that? PlayStation 4. the original PS4. I need more puzzle pieces. Ooh, that actually looks... It looks a bit wrong. What are you doing with poor Sackboy there? That's also kind of unfortunate. So Sackboy was a pretty cool character. The original Little Big Planet that released for the PlayStation 3 was a very, very cool game. And the idea of you being able to create your own levels was also pretty cool. I mean, considering how popular Mario Maker was, for example, later on the... Wait, when did it release? The original Mario Maker came out on the Wii U, didn't it? But it was definitely a lot later than Little Big Planet. So the idea of the game was pretty cool. I felt like the sort of level design tools, because it was a 3D game, right? So it's much more difficult to have level design tools for that in a console environment, I guess. Something that also needs to be controllable with an actual controller, right? Instead of mouse and keyboard or something. So... yeah, because of that, I mean, there were definitely some incredibly awesome-looking community levels for Little Big Planet. And the original game, it was just really fun. It was a very good platformer. It had incredible music. The problem was that they kind of released Little Big Planet 2 and 3 without much fuss about it, right? They didn't market it very well, I felt like. And they also... I mean, there were definitely reasons why you would have wanted to buy Little Big Planet 2 and 3. They had, like, they introduced different things to it, right? You could do a lot more with the level editor, and they also introduced a lot more characters alongside Sackboy. But it never had, I don't know, that same appeal as the original one. The original one was just so... well, was it innovative in a way? But it just had this very unique design to it overall. Like, it looked like a very uniquely designed game. And that was, well, clearly part 2 and 3 were just lacking that. They felt like they were just sort of small updates to the same formula. And so I was just never really interested in playing anything beyond the first one. It was kind of unfortunate. I really like the Sackboy character. I kind of wish they would have done more with him. I mean, they could have used him for more promotional stuff, for example, right? Having him sort of as a character that led you through an E3 presentation, for example. Something like that, right? I feel like they should have utilized him a lot more, because it was a very, very cool design. And he just looked very cute in Little Big Planet. I felt like it would have been a good character to sort of bring forward to just promote other PlayStation stuff. But they never really did anything with him either, which also then, it just kind of felt weird when they came out with Little Big Planet 2, because it was sort of almost like they understated it so much, right? There wasn't really anything more to it. It was just, oh yeah, there's Little Big Planet 2 now. Go play. I don't know, and it was still a full price game as well. I mean, obviously it was because it had like completely new levels in it, right? The original Little Big Planet actually had quite a few just levels that you could play through before even going into the whole community stuff and community levels and that kind of thing. I don't know. Just kind of a shame, I think, that Little Big Planet was a bit less than it could have been. At least the later iterations of it. Yay, we have another puzzle piece. Oh, that's the first time I got one of these. I guess they're literally just trash, which is okay. Unfortunate, I guess. So at some point, once you've collected everything, you just get those trash cans? Maybe? That's the PlayStation 3. And both of them excitedly playing with it. Ooh, a new artifact! I forgot that you were able to get more things here as well. The PSP camera. Portable cameras, they'll never catch on. Yeah, well, they most certainly didn't. I don't even know whether or not this released here in Europe. 1.3 megapixels. Wow, what kind of a resolution is that? It actually also, it looks very interesting because, yeah, the PSP came with these, I guess, threads and stuff at the top for accessories like these. But I never saw this here. I mean, maybe, I'm pretty sure you would have been able to buy it in Europe. I just don't think that I ever saw it anywhere. Also, was there ever any game that took advantage of this camera? I don't think so necessarily. I mean, there might have been like some couple of niche things. I think, wasn't there some kind of traveling thing that you could get for the PSP, or was that only for the Vita later on? And I think that was PSP as well. I think you could buy, it wasn't a game, it was actually some sort of travel guide or something. I don't remember what it was called, but I think you could buy it, and it also probably came with a UMD, or maybe you had to buy it online. And it would essentially, since it's a portable system, obviously, right? You could take it with you on travels if you visited a certain city, for example, right? Let's say you went to Barcelona or something. You could buy a sort of guide for that. I think it was like $20 per guide or something. And they released about 20 or 25 of those. And, well, it would show you, I think, like videos and stuff to like explain certain things. So I guess the basic idea was that you would go to a certain place, a certain city, or whatever. You would turn on your PSP and it would sort of do a guided tour through the city. And it had a couple of points of interest where it would show you or tell you about certain things, right? Stuff like that. Which in a way, kind of a neat idea, because obviously nowadays there's probably still a ton of apps for smartphones which do that. And back then smartphones didn't exist, right? So it was sort of a neat idea, especially considering that it's a Japanese console, right? And Japanese people in general, I think, very much like to visit Europe and stuff, so they could take that with them and it would maybe translate stuff, I don't know. But I think there was also like some almost like augmented reality functionality. Obviously back then it was still very much like sort of a dream, right? It wasn't actually working all that well. But there might have been some stuff where you could like take photos or like a video of where you were, and then it would sort of take that information and try to, I don't know, augment that video. I don't know whether or not that was a thing. But yeah, I never saw this in reality. I knew that it existed, but yeah, there also wasn't really any point to it. It was sort of a gimmick thing, like even the Game Boy back then. Was it the Game Boy or was it the Game Boy Color? I think it was even the original Game Boy. There was also like a camera attachment for it. And there was also the Game Boy printer back then as well, right? I think a lot of people know about that actually. And you could take photos with your Game Boy and print them out. Obviously, they were ridiculously bad in their quality because it was a black and white image with a really, really bad digital camera. And then it was also printed on this like heat paper stuff that the printer used, right? So it was just, I don't know why anybody would ever do that, but it was a thing. And I mean, I guess much in the same vein, this was the thing as well, right? These things are always, it's kind of with the, the 3DS, for example, comes with two cameras, I think. I don't know if the original one did, but certainly the one that I have, I think that's the XL or something. came with two cameras, right? Two ridiculously low resolution cameras, right? 320p or something. And, well, you can take stereoscopic 3D images with them, which is kind of a neat thing, and it's a very cool effect, right? So you can literally like take actual photos then that look 3D with those two cameras, and there is like a dedicated app for that on the 3DS, and well, you can look at them and they are 3D, right? And it looks very neat. But at the end of the day, because the camera quality is also so bad, and I mean, who would actually take their 3DS to take photos anywhere, right? Obviously, nobody would ever do that. Especially considering that when that thing came out, we already had like 20 megapixel cameras, right? The consumer grade cameras. And so why would you ever take those low pixel things out anywhere just to take a 3D photo that you look at once, say, oh yeah, that's a nice gimmick, and then never use again? I don't know why these like functionalities exist. Why would they even build those cameras into that thing, right? But I don't know. And yeah, again, an accessory like this, I don't know what point it ever serves, but I guess it's just fun that it existed. Yay, another puzzle piece. And another one. Alright, nice. We got a couple more pieces as well. Let's see where they belong. Okay. Yeah, filled in a couple more slots. So let's PlayStation Home again. Thing that we got there. And I think it was, so we got one puzzle piece for the beginning here. We're still missing a lot there. And then we got a puzzle piece here. I think that was the one showing the slim version of the PlayStation 2. Okay. So let me check. We're only missing one artifact, right, in this level. Nothing else. It's pretty cool. Still, I think that this is weird, isn't it? So the blue stuff is the PlayStation 3, and then the red stuff is the PS2. So for some reason it doesn't count either clockwise or anti-clockwise. Whatever. I guess I'll restart this level then. I wonder where I missed that artifact. Maybe at one of the flying sections? So that's just a puzzle piece. I also completely forgot that you can run faster by pressing R2. I guess you just sometimes have to sort of look back whether or not you missed something there. It is a bit unfortunate, actually. The only thing that I don't really like that much about the design of these levels is that they're pretty much one direction only, right? They're not really meant to be explorable all that much, but then you still have to explore to find all the puzzle pieces and stuff, so overall not really the best design overall. Again, like I said before, it's just fun, right? To reminisce in all of these like old school things here, and it's not a big deal that the game is very, very basic in terms of its gameplay. I don't think that there is necessarily any kind of other thing you could go to here, right? Unless you have to hit that big buzz that flies past you. That would be kind of obscure, though. I don't think that you can get up there. So I am kind of wondering where this missing artifact's supposed to be. Pretty sure that I didn't miss anything so far. Unless during these flying sections you're meant or supposed to go somewhere else. I mean, they very clearly show you where you're supposed to go, so I don't think necessarily that there would be anything else here. Once again, the, I don't know. It's just kind of a weird... Like, this is the only part of the game that I had trouble with so far, and it's just because it's a very, very weird way how they... Like, how you're able to use both the right analog stick and the motion controls of the controller to tell the game where you want to go. That's also kind of bullshit, but alright. Yeah, if you, like, the problem is if you, like, press the right analog stick forwards just one time, it immediately loses you, like, an incredible amount of height. Which, I don't know why they did it that way, but alright. And the easiest way to do this is to literally not move the controller once you've started, right? Which is annoying because you have to, like, hold the controller at a weird angle to initially aim where you want to go. But then you pretty much have to keep it at that exact angle to be able to actually fly to where you want to go. This seems very dangerous. Holy shit. Don't think that I'm missing anything here, right? You also can't fly backwards, so... I don't think, I mean, the controls are already pretty limited while you're in the air, so I don't think they would have necessarily built a branching path there. Huh. Maybe it's here? I mean, you would be able to see it though, right? Unless you can literally aim. No, you can't. Can't aim it backwards. I don't know about this. I feel like I might have already missed it again. I mean, these are just the puzzle pieces that I just collected, right? Usually the artifacts are on some sort of side path. Wait, did I ever try to... I can't use it myself, huh? Guess this might have been something where you can sort of shoot somewhere else. But I'm already pretty close to the end of the level, though. That's... Right? I mean, this is the end of the level. And I found an artifact here, so... kind of makes me question whether or not there would actually be another artifact here. Because, I mean, this is the artifact that I already found, right? So I'm pretty sure that I missed it again. Unless I missed something else in this last part. I mean, the level isn't really that long, so... I guess other than here, it could literally just be at the sections where you shoot yourself somewhere. But it's certainly not here, right? Can't do anything else here either. And this is the access point to the next level. Unless you can do something over here. This would be too obscure though. Weird. But I mean, this pretty much leads to the next level again. Oh, listen. Can you actually fly to the right and left here? I mean, it wouldn't really make sense to have anything here, though, I feel like. And this does, or should actually already count as the next level, right? So, yeah. Pretty sure that I'm just straight up missing this one artifact. I didn't even really notice the UFO back there the first time around. I mean, I guess let's just collect the coins, and then once I reach the checkpoint... Now this level is entirely with the rockets though, right? Yeah, I wonder, I think I speculated about that last time too. Maybe I should just try speedrunning one of the levels once. Because I wonder if it's literally just meant to be, like, if it's literally just about the time you need to finish the levels, or if it's also somehow counts the amount of coins that you're getting. Because I feel like you can literally speedrun these levels, like, really, really fast. Alright, let me get to this checkpoint. And then I guess let's go back to the first one. I also wonder, but it should keep the coin count that I had, right? Yeah, it does. Where the hell is... Oh, whoopsie. Oops. Where the hell is this artifact supposed to be? I mean, back here, this is a puzzle piece, so it's kind of unlikely that there would be something else here. I mean, the only place where I sort of can imagine it might be is literally when you're shooting yourself with the hang glider. Maybe you just need to aim somewhere else? There's more coins here, but there's no place where you could fall down to. There isn't any kind of other platform here, though, as well. I mean, the one platform that's to the front there with the green transporter on top, that's where I'm meant to go. Maybe you have to... I don't know, maybe something will appear if you aim correctly? Pretty sure those are just... Oh, I see it. I see it. Okay, yeah, it is actually this one. So you're meant to go, I didn't see this last time, you're meant to go up there where the traffic light is, because there's something you can pull. That's most likely where it is. It just means I have to go back to the start though. Alright, I see it. So you have to fly high enough so that you're able to hit it. Or to well, not hit it, but to get there. Alright, should be straightforward enough. Okay. Let me see. So maybe I just want to aim in that direction without actually getting the coins. Oh! Seriously? You can fly past it? Well, that's not what I wanted to do. At least they spawn you in back here. It's a much better checkpoint than the second one, actually. Are you kidding me? Seriously? I guess I just jump off. Should spawn me in immediately where I wanted to go. Seriously? That was bullshit. I hit the other bot and fell off. Just, I don't know, I feel like you have very little control over this hang glider. Oh, seriously, I don't know what it is. It's also, it seems almost random in how it controls. I don't know why I had so much less height there. Maybe it was the initial shooting off point? It feels like they actually have some sort of wind drag mechanics in here. It's just in a very weird way. Alright. Finally. There it is. Alright. Got it. The Buzz controller! Let's get quizzical! Ah, that's also really cool. Buzz. That's a PlayStation exclusive quiz game. And yeah, back then they actually released these buzzers. I think, didn't they also update them for PlayStation 3? Because the game itself, I'm pretty sure they released quite a lot of those. So it's an actual quiz game, like you'd imagine a quiz game would be like, right? And they have like 4 different answers. And, well, you have to hit the buzzer, and whoever hits the buzzer first can answer the question, obviously, right? I never played the original one, or rather any one of them that had like dedicated controllers like this. It's kind of cool that they existed. I don't know how expensive they were though, because obviously you needed 4 of them. I don't know if the game came with 4 or if it came with 2, but it also had a lot of like almost Sims-like add-ons to it, right? Obviously not as much as Sims probably, but it definitely had, so you could buy, well, question packs or theme packs essentially, where it would have like more questions, mainly centered around a certain topic, right? And you could get all kinds of different things there. Much like SingStar as well, right? For SingStar, you'd also be able to get like different versions of it and upgrades and add-ons and all that kind of stuff with different songs in it. And this quiz game was built up, you know, very similar to that. And there were definitely also, I think, versions of this on PlayStation 3. I don't know if they included the controller though, or if they... I mean, I'm pretty sure that you could also literally just use the normal controllers. You didn't have to use them. Because a buzzer, I mean, it pretty much just amounts to a button, right? So whether or not you press, I don't know, X or the actual buzzer doesn't really make much of a difference. It's just, I guess it's just a lot funnier if you actually have a buzzer like this. Or you can also do something with it. I don't know how it actually worked though. Whether or not the 4 other things are just lights, or I think they were also dedicated buttons, right? In order to be able to answer a question. So you'd press the corresponding button, I guess. I don't know. The thing that I don't know is whether or not they actually released an updated version of the game for PlayStation 4, or if they just stopped with it at some point. Actually not so sure about that. I know I played some sort of quiz game on the PlayStation at a friend's house though. Wait, was that on the PlayStation though? Yeah, I think it was. Isn't there... I don't know if it was called Buzzes though as well, or Buzz. I think it was. I think there's actually a Buzz game on the PS4 where you can connect your phones to it. I think? Might have played that at a friend's at one point. I don't know if it was for PlayStation 4 though, or if I'm misremembering that and was just something entirely different. No, I'm 99% sure that it was for PlayStation 4. And you have to download the corresponding app on your phone, and then you can pretty much, I think, use your smartphone as a buzzer like this. Well, in that case, it's not really a buzzer. I think it's more about, like, there's different functionality that they've built into those games, where you can, because everybody has essentially their phone screen as well, I think there's a couple of unique interactions for questions that are pretty much only possible because you have a touch screen with your phone for the game. It was kind of fun. The issue that I always have with quiz games like this, and that also extends to physical ones, right? So your old school physical, I guess family game, whatever. every time you have a quiz game like this, it only takes playing the game maybe 3 to 4 times to basically get through most questions that are included in the game, right? Which kind of, I don't know. I mean, right? If you think about an actual like family game or whatever, or something that you're playing with your friends, right? Let's say you're 4 people or something, and you're playing the game, and then maybe the next time you play with 2 other people and 2 people who already know the game. If you're unlucky, it might be that you literally get one of the same sort of question cards or something, right? And that's not much different with these digital iterations. I mean, technically they could update the questions and stuff, but most of the time, especially back then, obviously on the PlayStation 2, you couldn't. So it was literally the same problem. You had a certain pool of questions, and it could just be that even on the second time around, you'd already have 1 or 2 repeated questions, which kind of, it's just a little bit unfortunate if you actually want to play it against each other, and then you have like a repeated question in there where you already know the answer, not because you knew it, but rather because you played the game 2 weeks prior and the same question came up. So I don't know. That's always kind of the problem that I have with these quiz games, right? It's actually, well, the only cool part about this was back then, sort of video game rent stores were still very much a big thing, right? So you could rent DVDs and you could also rent video games back then at a lot of places, which meant that you could just go there and rent these games, sometimes even with these actual controllers included as well. So that was obviously a great thing, because you could just pay, let's say, $5 or something to rent a game like this for a weekend, and you could have your friends over and play it, and then repeated questions never were an issue because the game actually wasn't yours. You would just bring it back on Monday to the rent store, and that was it, right? And next time you did that was probably 2 years later anyway, and then there was an entirely new game that you could rent. Or especially with this one, where it had like different versions and like add-ons with different questions as well, you could just rent that one then the next time around, and you'd be guaranteed to get different questions, right? So that's kind of cool. But once you buy something like this and you own it, there was a very limited longevity that you got out of those kinds of quiz things, right? It's a bit unfortunate. Alright. So, I guess that's it, right? We managed to get everything in the PlayStation 2 space. Do I have to? I'm still a bit unsure whether or not you always have to go to a checkpoint to make sure that all of your coins are counted. Might be the case. So let me go here. Ah, yeah, there it is. They actually have 4 controllers here. I guess they were pretty cheap. I mean, these controllers are literally just plastic with like 5 buttons on them, right? Still pretty fun. Alright, let's get a couple more of the, spend some coins. Maybe I can get a couple more pieces. I'm also still missing a lot of artifacts here. I think there's 9 more artifacts that you can get for coins as well. And that's a puzzle piece. Another puzzle piece. Another puzzle piece. Ooh. Wait, what's he? That's also kind of a shame that they don't have this old school, like the old school sound anymore. when you start up the consoles. They had, for the PlayStation 3, on the 20-year anniversary of PlayStation, they released a specific anniversary theme that had the PlayStation 1 startup sound. That was pretty cool. So I wonder if they're doing anything with that in the future again. The weird part about the PlayStation 5 is actually, and I didn't even really notice that. I mean, on the PS4 as well, I never really did that much with themes. I mean, there is like a million different themes that you can get, right? I don't have that many. I only have them for, well, a couple of games that I really like. So currently on the PlayStation 4, I still use my PS4 for like YouTube and Twitch, all that kind of stuff on the second monitor, right? That's kind of a cool thing. While I'm, I don't know, grinding something in 14 on the PS5, I can just have Twitch or something open on the PS4 on my second monitor. And I still have the Last of Us 2 theme, or one of them anyway, that they released for free on the store, I think. And that has the like boat from the, well, not the main menu, but the main menu that you get. So the main menu changes slightly when you've played through the game compared to when you start up the game for the first time. And the sort of played through status of the main menu screen, you can get that as a PS4 theme. And it has, it's very like calming because it has wave sounds in it and like a beach with waves, right? So it's, I don't know, it's a very like calm and just relaxing theme, I thought. That's why I'm using it. But yeah, for some reason, so far at least, I think the PS5 actually does not have any themes, weirdly enough. Which might also be because they've sort of redesigned the menu system a little bit compared to PS4, where on PS4, you had your selected theme as a background, right? And the game background is only really accessible when you like hover over one of the installed games or the game that the Blu-ray is inserted, right? And if you press downwards, then you actually enter sort of the game screen, you know, where it tells you like news about it and how many trophies you have and that kind of thing. And it changes the background and the music to whatever corresponds to the actual game, right? Whereas on the PlayStation 5, you like that, it does that immediately, right? If you scroll through your menu, the whole background changes to whatever you've selected, right? So in a way, I guess a theme doesn't even really make that much sense in that regard, because you would never really see it anyway. Although it is kind of a shame if they completely got away with those, because I kind of liked them. It made you, especially if there was a game that you really wanted to play, right, that was supposed to launch at a certain point in time. So for example, now something like Elden Ring, right? And you were able to get, like, especially for those games as some sort of promotion, they tended to release themes on the store that you didn't have to pay for. They would just you could get them for free, right? And it was kind of cool. If you had a game that released at a certain point and you wanted to have it, you could just install the theme, and it sort of, I guess, hyped you up a bit more. It was just a very neat thing, right? You'd look at it and say, oh yeah, cool, this game's going to release, I don't know, in a month or two, right? And you already had the theme, and it was kind of great. Also for Christmas, they had like a PlayStation Christmas theme with the Christmas tree with ornaments from PlayStation on it, and as I said, the anniversary theme. And the cool thing was that it also always changed the sounds of the buttons and the menu music and that kind of stuff. So there are some really, really cool themes out there in that regard. And this just reminded me of the anniversary theme that they did, because it had that classic PlayStation 1 startup sound, which is just really cool for some reason. It's like the THX sound back in the day, which I also don't know why they got rid of it. THX, like the sound thing, they had this really, really cool where it was just basically one sound that would ramp up, and it was immediately recognizable. And for some reason, they later on changed it in a bunch of ways, right? And it just wasn't as cool anymore, because it was overdone, right? It was sort of, the cool thing about the original THX sound thing was that it was simple, yet very, very sort of, like if you were sitting in a theater, or in a like home theater with a very, very good sound system, just the way that one sound ramped up was really impressive for some reason. It just made you sort of awestruck if you actually had like a really, really good sound system around you, right? And I think that's sort of how the original PlayStation sound also, like it was just this very cool sound, right? It was simple yet very impressive at the same time. And the sort of the modern startup sounds, so the ones that they did for the PS3, 4, and 5 now, they are, well, they're not overdone or anything, but they're just very sort of, what's the word, forgettable, right? They're just, I mean, they sound modern, they sound sleek, and they fit the design, the menu background and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, they're also very, very forgettable, right? They're just not that interesting in any sort of way. They're not unique either, right? So it's a bit unfortunate. I wish they would sometimes like come up with cooler stuff again in that regard. Oh, that's another artifact, right? Nice! But there it is! There it is. We were talking about it. Surely it can't get any smaller than this. Well, at the end of the day, it did. So yeah, this is the original PS3 Slim. The good one. So, well, obviously, I've talked about the fat PlayStation last time a lot. But this time around... What is this? Like, can you see that on stream? There's just some blue stripes on the screen for some reason. I wonder why they're there. I feel like there's some sort of bad background thing. I don't think they're supposed to be there. But yeah, this was the good PS3 Slim. So, well, first of all, they sort of still took the same design that the fat PS3 had, but it had like this very basic. It looked pretty cool, all things considered. It looked very sleek. Definitely a lot slimmer and lighter than the original PS3. LAN port, HDMI, but obviously it also took away a bunch of stuff, right? It didn't have the card reader slots anymore, obviously. It only had 2 USB slots, which, again, as I said last time, they overhauled the PlayStation 3 a couple of times. So the original one with all the SD card slots and stuff and 4 USB ports, they overhauled that at some point, and it was still the fat PS3, but it only had 2 USB ports and it didn't have the SD card slots. And then shortly after that, they came up with the first slim version, which then had, well, also only 2 slots and no SD cards or anything, right? But it still had the cool Blu-ray drive where it would like take the Blu-ray automatically if you inserted it. It didn't have these touchpad buttons anymore, though. It had dedicated, like, normal pressy buttons. Not the, what are the others called? Like inductive ones or something? Yeah. So still a pretty cool piece of hardware. Definitely a lot, so, like, this still looked very much, like quality, right? Whereas, as I said a couple of times already, the second PS3 Slim iteration. I wonder if that comes up at some point here as well. The second iteration, I don't know, was a lot smaller than this even, but also just kind of like unnecessarily cheap looking. That's a bunch of pieces finished, I guess. I sure hope that's not something on my screen, these weird things that are etched in there. Thought it was a game. Might actually be my screen. Well, that would be very unfortunate, because it's a new one. I hate that. Why does tech these days always have to break so easily? Well, whatever. Let's check out what we got, and I'll look at that later on. So, I actually completed this one. Nice! This is already... Oh yeah! What's with these color versions? I think that was a thing back then, right? I completely forgot about that. I think the PlayStation 2 Slim actually had like colored versions of it. They never did that again, did they? If I'm remembering that correctly. I'm not entirely positive about it, to be honest. And then I think we didn't actually get that much more. Yeah, now the Slim is actually standing here as well. Okay. Nice. And down here, now you can see the two different Slim versions. So the left one is the one that we just got as an artifact, and then the right one is the, I guess, quote-unquote cheap one with the Blu-ray drive that you had to manually slide open on the top. There is definitely some weird stuff going on with my screen there. I wonder what that's about. I don't know how to properly test that though. I've never seen something like that. I don't know. I'll check it out later. I don't want to do too much anymore here though. Technically, I mean, we finished this whole area. I don't want to start a new one just yet. I want to take a look at this, the network speedrun stuff. I just want to know what it is and how it works, to be completely honest. So technically, this should be a way to... Oh! Right, we unlocked the second one there as well. So there's something going on with this cube, I guess. New speedrun challenges are now available. Yeah. I guess we'll just check this out. So this only includes, I guess, the levels that you've already completed, right? And it shows you your best time, and you can look at the leaderboards. Oh, that's really fast. So I think it's literally just meant to be a speedrun of the actual level then? I think it's only a couple of ones though. I think it's the ones that include some sort of special gimmick? Seemingly? Let's start at the ones with the penguins. No, never... Wait. These are entirely different levels. Oh, that's cool. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense then. Okay. Oh, whoops. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense then, because the while the actual levels are a lot, like, they could still be, like, you could still do a speed run of those as well. Oh, for fuck's sake, it's not even that easy. You could also do a speed run of the actual levels, but this way obviously makes a lot more sense. So that's really cool then. Oh, for fuck's sake, why am I so bad at this? That means that you kind of get even more, right? With every, I guess, level that you complete. It's not only just the level itself, but also this. Like, always the speedrun stuff. And this is actually difficult. It's also a lot longer than I thought. People are racing this in like 35 seconds. I think I'm just very, very slow, huh? Nice. 55.08. Okay. And let's compare that to the world ranking. I'm placed 1,065,912. That's 35. Well, yeah, obviously I wasn't that good, right? But, still rather interesting. I mean, well, if they exist, I guess I should kind of complete them too, right? Since they belong to the corresponding levels. So this is what I completed today, and then these are the other two. So I guess let's complete these three as well today. It is kind of fun that they they reuse their different control things for this as well. I forgot that you had to turn your controller to use this. So this way it's not only the original level you use these things in, but also you can use it in the speedrun levels as well. I don't know if I would like to, I don't know, do this multiple times though. I don't know, it just feels like you don't have... Well, I mean, you have control. That's not necessarily the issue, but I wouldn't necessarily say that this is the most fun control scheme I've ever seen, or like, I don't know, character control thing. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's still something you can try and get better at. Let's see what the world ranking is here. Probably fairly similar to the other level as well, right? Just that I was really, really slow. 24 seconds! Alright. Holy shit, that's very fast. Alright, I did these two. Let's do this one now. Although, I do think that it would have been really, really fun to actually speedrun the normal levels as well, though. I mean, it's kind of cool that they introduced these separate speedrun levels, but I feel like it would have been pretty cool to have like the opportunity to speedrun the normal levels as well, though. Well, this is pretty fun, to be honest. Yeah. I think these rocket controls are actually a lot better than the spring controls. Well, the spring controls aren't necessarily bad, it's just that they're not very interesting. Whereas the rocket controls feel like there's a lot of ways in which you could improve your, like, I guess the strategy that you're using for this. Oh, much better here as well. 461,000. 36. Yeah, much closer to the best time here. Interesting. I mean, maybe this would actually be kind of fun to try and speedrun this a couple of times. But now the lines on my screen are gone, so I wonder if that was some kind of weird rendering issue that the game had. Because it very much looked like it. It looked like it was still rendering something weird in the background. Oh no, never mind. They're back. No, they're still there. It's a lot fainter than before. Well, that's unfortunate. Alright. And this is just a normal level then? Ooh, that's actually... You have to pay quite a bit of attention to not accidentally fall down there. I wish they would have a couple more like normal ones like these though, because I think that the basic sort of platforming controls that the game has are pretty good. I mean, they're certainly very responsive. So I kind of wish they had more normal speedrunning levels like these. 52. Sure, go and take a look at the world ranking. So I'm 751,000. 40 seconds. Wow. Huh. I mean, I guess there's not a lot of ways to improve your time here, right? Because it's literally just running forward and jumping. You probably can't really cut corners, whereas with the spring and stuff, you can probably time that really, really tightly so that it works out very well. Okay. Yeah, that was one more section of Astro's Playroom. I still really, really like this game. There's a ton of nostalgia in here. Obviously, well, in this case with the PlayStation 2 era, not too much overall because, yeah, because it's not really my era, I guess you could say. You know, I did have a PlayStation 1, or rather the overhauled model, right? And I did have a couple of PlayStation 1 games, and I played PlayStation 2 a bunch with a couple of friends as well. But, yeah, as I said, overall I think I just had a lot more, like, personal attachment to the PlayStation 3 era and everything going forward. So it's going to be interesting to see what else there is here with the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 4, which are the two eras that we're still missing. And this is going to be it for the stream for now. I will be returning to Astro's Playroom probably in 2 weeks. I know that's a fairly long time, but I do want to take it, you know, I mean, it's not that special overall, right? And I just feel like, as sort of a Sunday morning game to have a bit of fun, it's quite nice. and I just wanted to play through it. It comes, you know, with the PS5, and so yeah, it's just kind of cool to play through it if I have it anyway. And yeah, so it's essentially going to be 2 more Sundays. The thing is, next Sunday is also Super Bowl, and I kind of want to watch that with my friends, so I'm not entirely sure. I might stream that as well a little bit. I might also not. So, yeah, in terms of that, I guess we'll see how it works out, but I'll definitely, so if not next Sunday, definitely return to it in 2 weeks, and then in 3 weeks as well to finish everything that the game has to offer. And I hope that the rest sections that we're still missing are as good as these ones. I felt like the PlayStation 3 era levels were a bit better than the ones that we did today, just because with the gliding and the rocket and all that kind of stuff. Again, I think that the basic platforming gameplay, just running around with the Astrobot like this, is actually the best. It's very, very responsive and very fun. I wish they would have included just a couple more options to fight enemies, for example, and also just that they would have included a couple more enemies that properly fight back, right? So a couple of more actual mechanics. What's wrong? Are you the one that I just shot? Not shot, but hit? I'm sorry. Sorry, buddy. Didn't want to do that. I was just playing around with the controls. Oh, wait a second. Can you, like... Are they running after you when you hit them once? Oh yeah, they are. But now he isn't anymore. So maybe you have... No, they're all still running after you. Is there a point to that? Maybe it's just for a trophy or something. Feels kind of dumb that you have to hit them for that, but okay. Whatever. I guess they like that? Is the assumption here? Yeah, now they're actually all running after me. Holy shit! Help! Alright, that's fun. But yeah, that's going to be it for now. Thanks a lot for watching, and I still have to see, I have to prepare a couple of things. I think I said that last time. I have to prepare a couple of things for Raid today in 14, but there's still a lot of time this Sunday, so I might come back with some Dark Souls 2 before we actually go back into T as well this evening. So there's definitely going to be more stream today. Whether or not it's only going to be 14 or some Dark Souls 2 before that, we'll see. But if I'll be back earlier, then it's probably going to be Dark Souls 2. If I'm back later, then it's probably going to be 14. It's most definitely going to be 14. Just again, maybe some Dark Souls 2 before that. But until then, have a great rest of your day, evening, morning, wherever you are. Thanks for watching, and I hope I'll see you on the next one. Until then, bye-bye!